And this is Nick, researchteacher.com. We're here in the Old Town Square in Warsaw, Poland. Behind me are two no longer functioning Russian tanks. One is a tank, the other one is a howitzer. So that bigger one is a mobile artillery unit. And then here you have a tank, which is a faster way of fighting. Although, as we've seen over the last weeks and months, artillery at a distance has become the preferred way of waging this war by the Russian Federation. They have a huge advantage over the Ukrainians in artillery. They have something like 10 to 1 or even much greater advantage. It might be 40 to 1. I'm not sure what the statistics are. So basically they can just shell a large area with artillery. That way they can not use up as many of their troops, thousands and thousands of whom have died since the conflict began. Mostly, though, in the first month, I believe. We don't know what the actual numbers are. So this way, the tanks that you see behind me are a way for the Ukrainians to demonstrate and to show kind of what they're dealing with. On the one hand, it's a very difficult situation. On the other hand, the Russian forces are not invincible, as we'll see here just in a moment. The back of the tanks. There's lots of people walking around collecting money. Of course, there's constant need for humanitarian relief. Personally, I've given some money to a friend who has contacts in Ukraine, and they purchase things directly and supply them, I think, in the most efficient way possible. So this is obviously not going to be a quick conflict. It's not going to be over soon. So today is the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. It's bittersweet in that war has returned to Europe. Poland especially is in danger. Russia has repeatedly threatened Poland throughout its history, of course, for centuries. Russia occupied Poland for generations throughout the 19th century, for half of the 20th century or more. So the threat from the east persists. There's hope that the forces of evil, of the evil empire that is the Russian Federation, can be defeated with advanced weaponry. The wars of today, especially one in Ukraine, on the one hand is very much a traditional warfare in the Russian World War II sense of heavy artillery barrages, but modern weaponry, especially these light anti-tank and anti-air weapons, missiles, rockets, are able to even the playing field in a way that was not possible a few generations ago. The early version of that element of warfare was, of course, the mobile anti-air rockets that were provided to the Taliban in Afghanistan, part of the way that they helped to get the Russians out of Afghanistan. But going on that note, Russia has apparently lost 2 or 3 times as many soldiers in just 4 months in Ukraine as they did in 10 years in Afghanistan. So even if those numbers are inflated, I doubt they're inflated by more than 100%. It's certainly a high number in the 10 to 20,000 range. On the one hand, it's tragic. You don't want to see people die, even soldiers that are enemies of your country, declared enemies of your country, and have previously barbarically destroyed your people, murdering tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and then claiming that it was someone else that did it, or that the people deserved it, or something like that. But it gives pause, definitely, on this Independence Day. Some have said that what is happening in Ukraine now is Ukraine's war for independence. They were never able to fully cast off the Soviet, Russian imperialist yoke, and that's what they're trying to do now. They're losing some territory in the east, and that may be hard, if not impossible, to recover anytime soon. But at least they've shown that the attack can be repelled. Obviously, Russia has not met its goals for invading and taking over all of Ukraine. It failed at that miserably, and it's up to the Western countries, especially the NATO countries, with Poland being one of the main ones, but of course the United States being the primary factor in that organization, to resist Russia's obvious imperial designs. Some say that it's just a matter of time before war comes to Poland. God forbid that that's the case, but it's happened so many times before and in recent history that we can't rule it out. You have to get ready for it. And the best way to get ready for it is to have preparations through lots of modern military equipment, a lot of standard military equipment, modern in the sense of contemporary advancements in the technology, but also just the tried and true methods of artillery, especially. You need to arm the population. Poland is far behind in that respect. It has the lowest rate of gun ownership in Europe. And it's not to say that, just an average citizen with a rifle is going to defend the country from tanks and warplanes, but it is certainly the basis of any solid military, is a class of people who know how to use a gun, who hunt, who target shoot, who think about the fact that it's a basic human right to have access to the tools that allow you to defend your country. So I think that's all for now. It's kind of a somber 4th of July for me, given the circumstances. But I just thought I'd come here and see these tanks, see what they look like. I wish there were more of them. I think 2 is not as impressive as I would like to see. Of course, it costs money to transport them, but it brings the reality of all of this a bit closer. And nonetheless, the reality of the war is still thousands of kilometers away, but maybe not even that much. But at least it shows that these machines can be destroyed, and if need be, Polish men especially, are going to have to destroy a lot of these tanks to defend Poland from the horrors that Russia has inflicted on Poland in the past. I always think about it because my grandfathers, both officers in the Polish army, were taken prisoner by the Germans at the end of the September campaign in 1939, and had they ended up in the Soviet-Russian hands, they'd be dead, because over 20,000 of their brothers in arms were murdered by the Soviet Russians in the Katyn forest and elsewhere. The Russian Federation took down the Polish flag at the Katyn Cemetery Memorial, where thousands of those 20+ thousand soldiers were murdered. because they said something like a Polish flag can't fly over a Russian monument. It is a Russian monument to evil and tyranny, and I hope it's the last of its kind, and that Poland and other countries that have been under Russian occupation learn their lesson, and while having as much goodwill as possible towards the Russian people in the hope that they will snap out of their slave mindset and resist their tyrannical government. We have to prepare for war. The royal castle there burned to the ground by the Germans, or blown up actually. It was burned and severely damaged in 1939. There's a famous photo or film, I think, even of the tower burning. So this place has seen plenty of warfare and destruction. It's not just a rhetorical exercise here. This whole area here was leveled during the Warsaw Uprising in 1944, while the Red Army, the Russian army, waded across the Vistula River, which is behind me. So they waited until the Germans murdered and raped the population of Warsaw so they could more easily take it over and communize it and turn Poland into another Soviet-Russian satellite. This is Nick in Warsaw, Poland, the old town. Lovely, rebuilt. Shows that even under the worst of circumstances, you can rise from the ashes. Signing off for now. You can visit me at researchteacher.com. King Sigismund III with his cross, hopefully, will serve to protect Poland in these dark times. Talk to you next time.